All right, guys, here we go. Episode 47, sitting here on Holdcast, doing Holdcast in Malaysia, Putri Harbor. I just left Singapore, man. After 2 years and about 20,000 miles of little island life, it was amazing to pay with like Apple Pay on my phone. People delivered things to me. There were stores. There was an Apple store. I was able to buy a new laptop. I mean, like, spoiled rotten. But that dream is over. I'm back on the boat where I love to be. Getting ready to head to Phuket here pretty shortly via Pangkor and Langkawi. So today we're going to talk safety briefings for new crew. This is so important. It doesn't matter if it's your family for a Friday afternoon, your buddy's getting bombed on a Saturday or Sunday, or anything in between, bringing crew on, paying crew, them paying you to be on the boat. Whatever it is, you really need to, I would say first and foremost, and this really goes to people that are bringing crew on is sort of the intention of this kind of thing. But, you know, if you are bringing crew on, the most important thing at first, besides making sure it's a fit, you know, personality-wise, is expectation. What do they want? If someone wants to learn how to sail and I'm doing a 5-day delivery motoring, probably not the right person. If I'm going from Lombok to Mauritius for 45 days at sea, I probably don't want to pick someone that has 100 miles at sea. You know, God forbid something happens, 10 days out, what are you going to do? All kinds of problems to ask for there. They may be great, but hey, they'd be like, please, will you let me? And then at that point, you have to decide for yourself, are you willing to take the risk that someone could get very, very ill, 10 days out, and you're really not really possible to go back, so not easily at least. But just hammering those details out. What's the contribution? Incredibly important. If there's 4 people on the boat, split the food 4 ways. Who pays for fuel? Who pays for slips, moorings, repairs, insurance, water? All of this stuff that you're putting on the boat. Make sure that's crystal clear. If they're paying you, I have friends that they make their way around the world by having people pay to be on their boat. You need to lay down the law of what is going to be provided and what they're looking for. Because you don't want someone to have the idea that it's going to be a booze cruise because they're paying you $30 a day. It's just all about expectation at the end of the day. So, I would suggest just some personal experience. I've done this about 5 times. I've had one go bad. Not bad, but just not the way that I had wanted to go. We agreed on something and they went back on it. And it just is what it is. So they got them off the boat. But, a FaceTime call is key, really. At the end of the day, Skype or whatever, Google thing, whatever you can do on the Google machine to see someone's face, definitely do that so you can be really crystal clear that that's the human being you think you've been talking to. I mostly use Crewbay or I use Facebook Hitchhikers. It's a really good community. You put a thing up, you'll have 100 people responding in 15 minutes. So definitely good to use that. Around the world too. It's like it's a really great tool. And generally people on Crewbay are the same people. I pay for Crewbay. You don't need to. If you pay like $5 and you put an ad up, it puts it in front of everybody. It's like €5, so it's not just cheap. But that's really all I have to say about that. I just make sure the expectation is crystal clear. I know if my parents are coming on a Friday afternoon, it's going to be a 2-hour trip max. I'm going to put the whole connector in between the Bimini and the Dodger. I'm going to have water for sure, sunblock for sure, towels for sure. And I'm not going more than a half mile from the marina. I'm going to sail upwind, downwind, upwind, downwind, upwind, downwind until they want to go back. I don't want to be 6 miles upwind, and now it's going to take an hour to get back. Same thing with my friends. My friends come on a Saturday or Sunday, and I know they're going to get tanked. Sometimes it's just people with a meat board and a bottle of wine, and they just kind of want to kick it. For that, I'll definitely do a long upwind and have like a really nice spinnaker ride back because everyone loves the spinnaker ride back. But if I have friends on they know are just going to get inebriated and like that's their level that day, I'm not going more than a mile from the marina. I want to make sure there's a pile of water. Lots of sunblock. Again, connectors on there. Lots of towels, just, food, snacks, stuff like that to like dry people out. If it's your boat, my first thing here is on the list, when bringing humans out to sea, must have water. Just vital. Whatever you think you need, bring double. Once you're 3 miles offshore, that's the edge of where people can see your boat. So if your engine goes, sails go, mast goes, whatever, radio, power, and you can't get people to help you, and you're out of cell phone range, make sure you have some water. And that's not without being possible of happening. So as far as the pre-shift meeting, I'm going to call these my day sailors, like my family, a couple of friends go on the boat, that kind of thing, like a Friday, like I said, or a weekend or something. Very, very simple. It takes a minute. It all happens at the binnacle. And I tell them two things, one thing twice, at the beginning and the end, and then some stuff in the middle. The only thing I really care that they remember is the first thing and the last thing, which are the easiest things. That being channel 16. The ram mic is at the helm. It's always on 16. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Vessel, hold fast. It's written on the binnacle. Just read it off the binnacle. My position is it's always in the top left-hand corner of the chart plotter. So, very simple. Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is vessel, hold fast. My position is, please come help me. Easy enough, right? Say that twice, wait a couple minutes. If they don't come back to you, rinse and repeat until a human being talks to you. One could argue that maybe this is a pon-pon or a pan-pan, whatever you want to say, situation. I would argue that if someone besides me is on that radio, I'm either incapacitated or I'm off the boat. So it's definitely a mayday for sure. Tell them how to turn the engine on and off, or show them how to turn the engine on and off, operate the throttle, steer the boat, turn the autopilot on and off. All these things are right here in front of me. So it's just, I'm pointing as I'm saying things. So it takes like 15 seconds. When people come to your boat, if they're new and they've never been on a boat before, maybe they're nervous. Maybe they've only done lake boats. Maybe they've only done power boats. Maybe they've never been on a sailboat. Whatever the case may be, if they're nervous, when you show them how to turn the engine on and how to steer and use the throttle, it makes sense to them. They drive cars. So they're like, oh, if something happens to Brian, I can just turn the engine on and steer the boat. Now, hopefully that doesn't happen. It's probably not that simple, but it kind of puts them at ease, if that makes sense. I show them where the fire extinguishers are, where the PFDs are, where the life sling is, how to use it, pull it out, throw it, make sure that it's not in a knot or it is useless. I show them what the EPIRB is, how to use that, super duper simple. I do not do a man overboard drill. It is futile to show 4 people on a boat that have never sailed before how to do a man overboard drill. They don't know what a sheet is, a halyard, a tack. They don't know what a jibe. They know boat and probably Budweiser. So it really doesn't make any sense to do that. I don't have people wear life vests during the day. No one is allowed to leave the cockpit ever unless the boat's at anchor. That's it. If it's in the slip or if it's at anchor or on a mooring, you can leave the cockpit. Otherwise, you can't. I am fortunate with my boat that I have a long cockpit. It's deep. The way my bimini works, it's basically, it almost encompasses the entire cockpit with the steel. My Traveler's up top. So I got 3-inch or 2.5-inch stainless tubing that basically there's a cage around the cockpit. And then also, I do not have lifelines. I have solid 1-inch stainless steel tubing for the mid and the upper railings all the way around. So you have to really, even if a rogue wave were to come, on my boat, you are so closed in, it's just very hard to fall out. So, and the rule that, like I said, rule of thumb is no one ever leaves a cockpit when the boat's moving. It just makes sense. The one exception to that, I'll say, in Southern California, there's dolphins. People want to see dolphins. There's not a good view from the cockpit. So if there's dolphins, I'll pull in the jib, throw on the motor, center the main, and I'll let people come up. Just because now I can control the boat. If they fall off, I can see them, and they're right here. The main center, there's no jib. I get the motor on, so I'm just driving around, basically. I do have on my boat a swim step, a ladder that goes right down in, and a big old bench. So it's very easy to retrieve a human on my boat, or for a human to get back on if they were to fall off. If someone does fall off your boat and they don't have a life vest on, it's going to be a real challenge. The number one way I would say to do it, and probably people already know this, is to tie a circle into a sheet, put it in the winch, and just winch them up. So probably the easiest way to get them up. Or if you have a hoist for your outboard motor or davits, there's a bunch of ways. You can get a snatch block on the top of throw your boom out, put a snatch block where the clue is or wherever your vang is going to be. all your preventers are going to be, run that back to a winch. There's a whole bunch of different ways to, get people on. It's not brute force, because you are not pulling a human into your boat. I don't care how strong you are. You're not pulling a human being that's soaking wet back into your boat. Honestly, at that point, I would get them down to their underwear to where you're not pulling all of the weight of their clothing in, and they're not getting sucked in. But again, it's situation by situation sort of thing. Don't put anything in my toilet that does not come out of you. That's about as simple as can be. Yes, I have nice toilets. Yes, I have Jabsco, Quiet Flush, blah, blah, blah. Yes, they can take paper. I do put paper in there because it's my toilet, but nobody else. Once you put one thing in there, other things end up in there, and it's not out of spite, and it's not out of it's not malice. It's just people forget. I had one person probably 6 months ago who flushed something that jammed up the toilet, and I made that person fix it. They were on the boat for 5 months. So I gave him a screwdriver. I was like, look, you know the deal. Fix the toilet. So, it's just 4 screws you pull out, clean it, put it back in. But it's definitely disgusting. But if you clog it, you fix it. Last thing again, going back to Channel 16. Ram Mike, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Vessel Holdfast. I'm at. Please help me. Do it twice. Wait a couple minutes. No one gets you back. Do it again and again and again until finally someone calls you. If you do have a man overboard situation, and everyone should already know this anyway, whoever sees the man overboard will yell man overboard. That person's job for the rest of their life is to point at that human being until they're back on the boat. That's it. That's what they do. It is very, very easy, obviously, to lose people. During the day, it's a little bit more difficult, but once they get, 3 minutes away, 4 minutes away, you've probably gone a mile. Yeah, any bit of swell, you lose them in the swell. And it's, what happens is, in Southern California or places that are on the coast, folks are apt to think, I can see land, I can swim. You can't swim. Float. Just put your hands over your chest, lean back, and float. Don't try to swim because you're not going to get 3 miles swimming. You may think you can, but it's not going to happen. So, and you're bringing yourself further away from me trying to retrieve you at the same time. So just get your hands up, lights things out, toss that thing out there, and then, get back to you. So seasickness is a real thing. If I tell people that have not been on a boat before, having people that have not been on my boat before on the boat, I tell them the day before, or I tell my buddy who's ever coming out, I put a text together for a group thread or whatever, maybe put some Bomine in your face in the morning, or some Dramamine or whatever, some sort of motion sickness. It's a placebo. If you don't get sick, right? Doesn't matter anyway. It's like a sugar cube. But it might stop you from getting sick if you do. I don't like talking to people about seasick once they get to the boat. I'm a firm believer in once someone's on your boat, if you start talking about seasickness, someone on there is susceptible and they will talk themselves into getting seasick. Personally, I think seasick is all up here. I think it's a brain thing. But I don't get seasick, so I don't know. I say that kind of like talking out the side of my face, so I don't really know that. But when they get to the boat, hey, don't stare at your phone. Don't go downstairs. It's pretty all around you. All your friends are here. There's no reason to be on the phone. It's hot downstairs. The boat's moving around. It's not that safe. Honestly, the reason you say those things is because that's how you get sick, staring at a phone. Or if you're downstairs, that's how you get sick. Normally, when someone goes downstairs to the bathroom after the first time of being in the hot coffin with no air for 45 seconds, they will not go back downstairs again. They now realize why I should not be downstairs. If someone does get seasick, or to spot someone that may be seasick, if there's 4 or 5 people talking, someone's laying down, they're on their side, their eyes are closed, they're drunk, they're sleeping, or they're seasick. Either way, go over and ask. Just don't wait and let it get bad. I'll tell you a story in a minute about that. If they get seasick, get water in them. Obviously, as much water as you get into them, get it into them. Get a bucket up on deck if they're going to get sick. Have a bucket. If they do get sick and there's no bucket, once you've attended to the human and wiped them off, wipe your boat off. That stuff stains gel coat. is absolutely disgusting. Maybe a towel on the head. Don't let them go downstairs. I have a big cockpit so they can lay down upstairs. Get them looking at the horizon over the side. If you have a small cockpit, if it's a hot tub cockpit, they can't lay out. They're going to want to lay down. They want to go down, like the salon, a quarter berth, V berth, whatever they can do to lay down. It's not a good idea. They're just going to get more sick downstairs. They need to feel air. What I have found for probably the 3 or 4 people that have gotten sick on my boat, 5 people, whatever it was, it's not the upwind. It's not the 45, 50, 60 close reach, beam reach, because you can feel air, right? I'm going into 12 knots. I'm going 5 or 6 knots, so I'm feeling like 15 or 16 knots of apparent wind. The problem is when you go back to the marina, especially in Southern California, where I'm from. Again, it's 12 knots. You're doing 5 knots. There's pretty much no apparent wind. It's very, very low. You feel the waves when you're going against them and going upwind. You kind of ride down them when you're going back downwind. All these things are obvious, but it's just, I don't know. People get more sick going downwind. If someone does get sick, the main thing for me is take them back. Just there's no reason to stay out. They're just going to suffer, and they can get really bad very quickly. So explain to them, hey, we own the boat. It's a charter. It's not a big deal. Whatever it is, we can go another weekend. This is not the end of the world. Everybody likes you. Men will not admit they're seasick because they're, bravado, whatever. And women tend to not want... they don't remember it's a good time. Now, that works both ways. It always... Obviously, that flips. But most people do not admit it because they're just going to tough it out. It's stupid to tough it out. And it can get way, way worse. So just go back. And be like, hey, we'll go another weekend. We'll just put some, more Dramamine or some more Bulamine or the patches. You can get the wristbands. You can get the... there's the prescription medicine that's supposed to work really, really well. So all that. I had a girl, real quick. I was going from Los Angeles, Marina Del Rey to Catalina. Was going on a date. She's never been on a sailboat before. She's been on a powerboat. She's never been on a sailboat. I'll talk about that in a second. We got about 30 minutes out, bunch of food. She was all excited. Never seen Catalina. Was so excited. Sailings, never sailed. So excited. 30 minutes out, she got pretty seasick. And I was like, hey. I was like, how bad are you? She's like, well, I think I'm okay. I was like, well, we'll give you 20 minutes. Meaning I'll give you 10. And I slowed the boat down to 5 knots. So I'm not going much further if I have to turn around. I don't want to be going 7.5 another 20 minutes and put another 3 miles in front of me. I'm like, nope, I'm slowing the boat down. So after 20 minutes, she was really bad. Got her a bucket, just getting sick, and got worse. And I'm like, well, we're going back for sure. So I took the boat, turned the boat around, put all the sails in, put the motor on, and kicked it at 3,000 to get her back to shore. And about 5 or 10 minutes from the breakwater, probably, I don't know, a mile out or something like that, she's like, I can't feel my hands and feet. I'm like, holy shit. I'm going to have this woman airlifted out of my boat, looking at the marina. And thankfully, I was able to get her in. And after about an hour of being in the slip, once you go back into Marina Del Rey, it's really far back. It's super flat. And got some water in her, gave her a sandwich and some fruit and stuff like that. She started to feel better, which is good. But she was red, throwing up. Her temperature was up. Everything was bad. It was all bad. I was very concerned. And look, when you have people out, if you're in a sailboat, you can't go 50 miles an hour. It's important to understand that. If someone's starting to feel sick, you're not a powerboat that can just turn around and get back inside in 3 minutes. It's going to take you 2 hours if you're 10 miles away. So it's important to know that. And look, Channel 16 is there for a reason. The Coast Guard's there for a reason. If you think for any reason at all, if there's any doubt that this person is not going to get better, call the Coast Guard. Or wherever you are, start calling for help. It can go downhill very, very quickly. And if you're not medically trained, it can go really bad. What I have found with the 4 or 5 people that did get sick, and they all told me this, so take this for what it's worth. When they do get sick, I take all this. Well, I take the jib in. I'll reef the main to probably a double reef in the main, just because depending on wind angle. If it's off the beam, obviously I'll keep it up. If going dead downwind, I'm just going to keep it up halfway just so it's not flogging, just for a little bit of stability. But what I've been told, and this is the same for me, it's the motor is calming. The motor, it's a constant. It's a constant, dun, 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 dun. You know, when you're moving, obviously higher rev than that. But the vibration, I've had all 5 people tell me when you turn the motor on, I was fine. I got way better immediately. It's something about just, I don't know. I don't see C6, I don't know what it is. But I've been told that works. But look, that's all I got for the day, sailors. Next up, we're going to talk about our passage makers. These are our, 1 month, 2 month, 3 month people, year, 6 months, continent to continent, country to country. Generally are sailors already. Sometimes not. I generally get greenhorns just because there's something to do by teaching them, and I really love watching someone learn how to sail. Obviously, replicate all the steps from the short-term people. The speech from the binnacle, that's the quick and dirty of it. That's the very first thing. The minute they get in the boat, I inundate them with information. It's all about repeat, 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 repeat. Someone stepped on the boat, it's new plumbing, it's new electrical, it's new navigation, it's new, everything is new. And everything breaks. So they need to know how to work this stuff properly. So from go, I overwhelm you with information. And then that's when the questions start. Like, okay, I remember he told me that, that's where this is, blah, blah, blah. First thing is we run on batteries. It's really important to understand that. Run on batteries. We can kill the batteries. I have solar. I have hydro. I have a 6K diesel generator and then a backup putt-putt that's like a 2400 Generac. So lots of ways to make power if I need to, but I don't want to. If I don't have to, I want my solar to do it. We try to charge our low-ticket items during the day. Phones, iPad, laptop, that kind of stuff. Arguably, it doesn't matter. You're still drawing either way, but just to me, it makes sense anyway. So, no big-ticket items like hair dryers, curling irons, blenders, waffle makers, coffee makers, air fryers, without the gen set on. I do have lithium batteries. I could run those machines without it. I only have an air fryer. I don't have any of the other stuff. I just have an air fryer because single-handed, which I am 90% of the time, it's just nice at 2 in the morning when I want a warm meal to throw something in it and it'd be done in 10 minutes and have an actual warm meal. It's amazing, really. Let's see here. So the difference between AC and DC, very simple. DC's batteries, that's how we get power. AC, high ticket, costs money. I got to turn the inverter on if you use AC stuff. So it's costing power just doing that. And that's our wall plugs. So I'm kind of, DC is the cigarette lighters, AC is the, plugs. So most people understand that part. So the inverter is that. I show them what the inverter is, show them where the batteries are, how many there are, where the solar panels are, where the MPPT controllers are, where the generators are, how to turn them on and off, but don't do that without me. Where the engine bay is, the alternator. The reason I do that, all of those things catch fire. All those are the high power items. So I want them to know where they are. If they smell smoke or something like that, or something's hot or something's not working, I want them to know immediately what the things are that are around those places. Again, if someone's going to be in your boat for a year or 6 months, they really need to know all of these things. How to turn on the instruments, radio, running lights, anchor lights, autopilot, all that good jazz. That just comes in time. They learn that very quickly because that's the day-to-day kerfuffle of what we're doing out here. PFD locations, for sure. Ditch bag, where is it? What's in it? Life raft, where's it at? How does it work? Flares, where they are, how do they work? Fire extinguishers, where are they? How do they work? Flashlights, where are they? Pretty self-explanatory. I got headlamps everywhere. EPIRBs, I got 2. Where are they? How do they work? And they're both registered to me. One I bought brand new. The other one came with the boat. I probably would not use the other one unless I absolutely had to, but there's 2 in the boat either way. I have 3 of these, or I have 5 of these Mustang Life Vests. 3 of them inside have an ACR personal locator, just like an EPIRB. I don't know if it's hydrostatic. It's probably just, maybe just hydrostatic. It opens by itself. And then on this side, there's a strobe and a whistle. Very important to have those things. The ACR strobes as well. And okay, yeah. Sorry, I just made a list for this because I wanted to make really sure that I got off all the points I want. I tend to extrapolate and shoot from the hip, but I really wanted to make sure that I did get all the information out within that. So I just like to explain why, just so people understand why. I mean, I've got a lot of miles on my boat, but a lot of people on this boat, and a lot of different places, and just like to share information. So I do teach these people man overboard drill for obvious reasons. I teach them the figure eight. You can teach them the quick stop. There's 3 or 4 different methods. You can make the argument based on where you are in the wind. One's easier than the other. I don't know. I use the figure eight. It's how I learned how to do it. So, but whatever. I'm not going to explain how to do those. You can search those on your own. Maybe I'll do a video on that one day. All right. Rules on watch. These are the diehards. These are super, super, duper, duper important. First one is do as I say, don't do as I say, not as I do. Okay. Here's the thing with that. I say this to mean at 3 a.m, if the tack comes undone, if the snap shackle comes off and the tack is while the sail's out, maybe it's going to rip the whole luff out of the feeder. I don't know. Maybe it's going to rip the sail. Definitely need to go fix that. I am probably just going to grab a flashlight with my face, bite on it, run forward to my boxers, and fix it. Because it's going to cost me money. It's going to break stuff. It may damage a lot of things in the boat. Nobody is ever allowed out of my cockpit while the boat moves. I established that earlier, specifically and especially at night. And everyone that's on deck at night will have a tether, and they'll have a life vest. I have 5 of these life vests. They're nice and comfy. You forget they're on in like 5 seconds. These are the good ones. The good tethers. They're dual tethers, a short and a long one. Yeah. The thing is, with the do as I say, not as I do, and as I do that, the reality of that act is, even though I'm like, it's my boat, I've done this 100 times, if you bust your face or fall overboard, it's not do as I say, blah, blah, blah. They now have to save you. And they don't know how to do it. Maybe. So, arguably, when you say, do as I say, not as I do, you're basically putting all the illness onto your crew to save you if something happens. So, depending on your crew, you can kind of figure out where that's at. I set a 30-minute alarm on my phone from the minute I leave somewhere until I get to the next place. Mexico to Polynesia, 3,800 miles, 20 days at sea. It went off every 30 minutes. The same sound. It's the radar sound. It is the most obnoxious. I want to throw my phone overboard when I hear it, but it makes me get up, stand up, go up on top, 360, physically scan the horizon, see what I can see. Everything doesn't have radar or doesn't show up on radar. Everything doesn't show up on AIS, especially in Asia. There are fads everywhere. There are nets everywhere. There's fishing gear everywhere. There's garbage everywhere. So look. Don't just look at AIS. Look at the chart plotter. Go up and look. Yeah, I try to keep my phone at least 10 feet away from me when I do lay down, for obvious reasons. If I can just roll over and hit snooze, there's a possibility I'm going to do that if I'm annoyed enough. I've not done it yet, but hey. So make it so you actually have to stand up. It keeps you honest. No sleeping on watch. I will. I'm single-handed 9% of the time. I sleep quite a bit, but it's my boat. I know my boat in and out. I know if a wave hits, it'll wake me up. So that's one of the, that's the do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. No sleeping on deck. The radar, I show them when I pick targets, understanding ring ranges, how to spot a squall on the radar, how to track a squall on the radar. It's very important if I'm not up at night, if I'm sleeping and Solstice up, I need them to see the squalls coming before they're on top of me. Because if you're full sail and 45 knots comes on top of you, it's not going to be a good day. AIS, don't move the boat. Don't change course. But understand CPA and TCPA. If my CPA is, a mile on a boat, wake me up. We'll just, whatever it is, we're going to take it stern for sure. It's just easier. And I'm going to go back to bed. No course changes when I'm not awake. Because a course change means, a sail plan change, you're trimming. While I'm asleep, there's a reason to do that. Look, if someone's off for 6 months and they're sailors, or 3 months and they're sailors, that's a different thing. But if it's your first day, don't be ambitious. It's a good way to get us killed. Like I said, everyone wears a PFD at night. Everyone's clipped in at night. At night, if you're on deck by yourself, not only are you clipped in, not only are you wearing a PFD, but you're also wearing a crotch strap. These things don't have crotch straps. And the reality of the situation is, more than likely, if you do fall overboard wearing the tether part, you're going to fall right out of it. Your shoulders and your arms are going to go up, and you're going to slide right out. That's why you have to have crotch straps. So just understand that. I do have a wind vane. I have a hydro vane. It's a secondary rudder, which is great. I have a secondary autopilot. Goes a secondary rudder. It's a secondary way to steer if I lose my rudder. All that's gravy. Depending on where I am, if I'm, 50 degrees to probably 110, 120, I'll leave it on at night while someone's up there. Because the likelihood of an accidental jibe is pretty low. If I'm deep, if anything past 120, I'm going to put the hydrovane mode on the autopilot. The reason being is you can say, well, it's the same thing. Well, no, it's not the same thing. The rudder for the hydrovane is a quarter of the size of the rudder for the boat. So if a wave comes and knocks you off course, the main rudder for the boat will get you right back on course. It's huge. It's massive. The hydrovane rudder eventually will get you there, but it's going to take, probably 10 or 15 seconds. So the possibility of accidentally jibing is a possibility. Lastly, look, it's all about trust. Explain to people, if you bring crew on your boat, even for day trips, I would even argue especially for day trips, if it's your house, people are coming to have a really good time on a boat, not your house. So it needs to be said, look, we're meant to have an adventure. We're meant to have a good time. We're meant to use every inch of this boat to have a good time. But realize I have no house. I have no car. I have no home. This is my house with everything I own in it. It needs to be treated as such. And it brings you closer to the person. And now they realize that you're inviting them into your home. Like, there's a whole bunch of benefits to it. But for your daytime people, you just don't want them in your belligerently drunk downstairs, doing shots, making a mess, breaking stuff, breaking your head, which is normally the thing that they break. Do not waste water. I tell people that. It doesn't really matter. I make 35 gallons an hour with my water maker. Just don't take a 3-hour shower, unless you have to, and then you're going to lug it up on deck, the water maker, and you're making water. And then, look, fluids and sunscreen, sunblock for everybody. That's an obvious thing. If you have a cockpit, I hope you have a cockpit. Depending on your cockpit, how it's arranged, and what sort of soft goods you have, and depending where you are, make the right decision. I generally go without the center window, never put it in. Ever. Like, ever, ever, ever. I have a Dodger, 2 connectors, and then a Bimini. And with just the back Bimini, there's no coverage in the boat. Like, I can't even take the back one off. The other ones are removable. That one's not. So, if I have people on the boat, it's during the day, there's not a cloud in the sky, it's 95 degrees out, I just put the covers on. I might even put the doors on. The problem with the doors is what I talked about before. It's like going downwind. There's no breeze. You don't feel any wind, so people tend to get seasick because you're basically in a powerboat cockpit in a sailboat. I know a lot of people that like that. It's not my bag. I bought that boat because I just like camping. And, it's a nice way to camp, but I like camping. So, look, that's all I got. Episode 47 on Holdcast. Brian Hathaway here, SV Holdfast, coming at you from Malaysia. Please subscribe. There are lots more videos coming out over the next probably month or so. I got so many things to make and just catch up on after just, like I said, a couple years and all these miles. And, it's been a wonderful journey. I love to teach. I used to be a college professor. So anything I can do, I know I'm long-winded. I tend to extrapolate. I just want to make sure the devil is in the details when it comes to these type of things. So I just want to make sure that everyone's got the details as far as my personal journey. So, yeah, that's all I got. You guys have a great day and fair winds. Bye.